Tony from her Homestead Skills, and I guess my plans this morning are to at least try to get to my garden and perhaps start to put it to bed, harvest whatever I can of what's left, whether the tomatoes are green or whether they're ripe. It might just be time to harvest the balance and start putting the garden to bed. There is a very large mess there because I was away for a couple of weeks, and that is when the weeds took over and everything ripened, and the critters got a hold of whatever they could. So yeah, there is a bit of work for me there. Needless to say, I'm not unhappy with the results of my garden this year. Hopefully next year will be better. We always hope for better next year. And once I've got it cleaned up, I guess the last thing I would have to do is plant some garlic in the fall. And I had a very healthy garlic harvest, and I intend to use the garlic that I planted as seed for next year, and quite a lot of it if I can. Perhaps I'll get 3 to 4 times as much garlic next year as what I did this year. We'll see what happens. As well, I did get a bit of horseradish, which is something I've always wanted from one of my neighbor gardeners, and it's doing well. It'll probably take a year or two to establish, and I understand that horseradish does spread and it has to be kept an eye on, so I'll just make sure that that does not spread too far and too wide. My raspberry bushes are doing awesome. They're 3-4 feet tall. Hopefully the canes don't get chewed up by the critters again this year. Hopefully they're strong enough to withstand the critters. But in any case, it is what it is. Really can't do much over the winter to protect it anyway. So if it's going to be a bad winter, the critters are going to get whatever they can, wherever they can, and there's very little we can do to prevent that. So anyway, that's it for my garden. I'll see what I manage to harvest, and I will have at least another 1 or 2 tomato sessions, canning sessions for tomatoes, and then hopefully I'll be able to put that machine away for good for the year. And even though the machine is very useful, they do last a long time because you only really do use them once or twice a year anyway, you know, or for a short period of time, once a year in the fall. And I'm sitting here reflecting on the fall is always a bit of a sad time, you know, that winter's coming. And Mark and I both hate winter. See what happens. We don't, you know, the times, they are changing. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that change will continue to happen. The world has changed considerably from when I was a child, and it will continue to do so. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that we do have to learn to adapt to changes constantly. And some of the changes are ones that we like, and other ones are ones that we absolutely do not want and do not like, but have to learn to accept. So yeah, another change is, of course, that the pandemic is just about over. As a matter of fact, even the World Health Organization is admitting that it's over, or it will be very shortly. The CDC is saying that it's pretty much done, and it is virtually just Canada and the US that are the big holdouts and unwilling to drop their COVID mandates, but that can't last much longer. It's even though they are holding out longer than any other country, you know, travel to other countries seems to be a whole lot easier than what Canada and the US is doing. So, well, how much longer they can hold out, who knows. Mark tells me they can do whatever they want, but I don't think they can get away with it for too much longer. And there is change in the air, other than the pandemic. People want their freedom back, they want to travel. On the other hand, governments have had a taste of control, and they don't want to let go of that either. So we'll see what happens there. There's also a lot of political change in the air. In the US, November, will definitely create change. And here in Canada, the election of a new Conservative leader means that there's also political change in the air as well. And he is suggesting all kinds of things. So we'll see what he is able to accomplish, if anything. He is not the leader, he is the opposition, and unless Trudeau decides to call an election, he's got another 3 years in power. So I see pictures of, talk about world changes. Okay. And in Europe, they are going to have a lot of difficulties with energy. With winter coming, people still have to heat their homes, and that's even worse than driving your car. Perhaps you can put one car in the driveway and just use one and not both and not 3 or 4, and you can still do the things that are necessary. But in cold climates, like Canada especially, you have to heat a home. And it is getting super expensive to either drive or heat your home or any kind of energy, and the energy policies that are in place right now just don't cut it. They don't want to understand that they just don't cut it. You don't just cut off without having something viable in its place. And electric cars and electric heat is not viable because the grid can't support it. Perhaps 10, 20, 30 years from now, we will have the ability to produce enough electricity so that everything can be run on electricity, but that isn't the case today. And as far as electric cars in Canada, well, anyone who has used batteries know that the cold will dissipate a battery very quickly, will wear it down. I have heard of instances where some fellow who had purchased an electric car, drove it in the winter up north someplace, and battery died. No charging stations where he was. So, no way to recharge his car because the cold will zap a battery much quicker than a hot climate. So yes, there are changes and many things to adapt to, many things to learn, many things to understand, what works, what doesn't. As far as crime needs to be punished, perhaps not brutally. Perhaps the punishment has to fit the crime, but letting criminals go free with no punishment just means that they're going to continue to do what they do. So, are they learning? Is society learning? Yes, they are. You can't just let people do what they want on the one hand and not punish them, and control them completely on the other hand, and allow no freedom. So there is difficulty trying to understand where the balance is, and governments have got a lot to learn. I expect a lot of change over this winter. There's always the possibility of things getting very ugly, or people smartening up and doing things a little smarter than they have been doing. Let's hope it's the easy way and not the hard way. I look at Ukraine and Russia, and I'm quite saddened by it, because I think that no matter which way you cut it, they both lost. You could say they're both winning, but they're both losing too. Ukraine is devastated, absolutely devastated. It's a country that had beautiful buildings, probably a very healthy economical situation, and now the country it'll take 20, 30 years to rebuild that country. It'll never be the same again. And Russia has lost as well. They've gained nothing. Another one of my subscribers has mentioned the fact that China has not been shipping very many containers overseas anymore, that we don't seem to have the backlog of shipping containers. And to me, I think, well, great. Who the heck wants Chinese products here anyway? We know that Chinese products are cheaper. They're cheaply made. And we know that a lot of people can't afford good quality products. Unfortunately, it's also true that you buy something that is quality once and you have it for a lifetime, or you buy something that is very cheaply made and you buy it 10 times over in your lifetime. So, I don't know. It's one is you can get something immediately, and the other one, perhaps you have to save your pennies to get something of value. So, I think that they both work out the same in the end. And perhaps we have to learn to not demand that we have everything today and immediately, and learn to share or do without for a while until you can afford something of quality. Anyway, that's just a thought. These things too will work themselves out, and I don't think that China not shipping product, it may hurt the US, but I think it hurts China even more than it does the US. They do need a market, and of course the biggest market has always been the US and Canada. I've heard that China is still the biggest supplier of goods to the US on the whole, so they're still doing okay. All right. Well, enough of my thoughts. I have yet to go to my garden, clean it up, and I probably should be doing that this morning rather than chatting with you, but I always enjoy chatting with everyone here, so. And hope you're all squared away, have lots put away. The world is changing, hopefully for the better this winter, but there's no way of knowing. I mean, we're getting shocks left, right, and center, and some, like perhaps this railway strike, we were able to avoid, but there'll be others that we won't. So be ready, be prepared for all kinds of potential shocks to the system, to our countries, to our lives. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.